What is going on, everybody? It's Shri Kanase here, and in this video I'm going to be explaining exactly how you can scale using Google Ads. Now, I know Google Ads are one of the most mysterious yet profitable platforms out there. In the beginning, I also had a lot of trouble getting used to Google Ads just because there wasn't enough good tutorials out there. There's one big misconception that Google Ads aren't effective as Facebook ads, because with Facebook, you can literally get results overnight by launching a few ad sets, but with Google Ads, it's actually a very different story. Google Ads is fully a search-based platform, and people actually have to be searching for your product in order to even buy from you. Now, before you click away from this video, just know that even if you use Facebook ads, this video is still for you, because once you find a winning product on Facebook ads and it really starts to take off, people are going to be searching for that on Google more and more often. Because not everybody that views your ad on Facebook is going to buy the first time. Maybe someone called on the phone, maybe someone is at the door. They just couldn't buy at that moment. So what happens is these people go on Google to search for that product. And once they start searching for that product, if your store comes up first via these Google shopping ads, you have a much likely chance of getting their money for the product. So this is one video you want to watch until the end, because personally, with Google, I've had a lot of success. I've also struggled a lot with Google Ads as well and tested a lot of things. And the strategy I'm going to be teaching you guys regarding scaling is the one I came up with after testing the waters myself, wasting a lot of money and also earning back a lot of money. So make sure to watch this video until the end. But without wasting any more time, let's just jump right into the content. So before actually talking about the specific strategy and everything in the Google Doc, I want to go over to my Google Ads account and actually show you the results I've gotten with the strategy that I'll be explaining in this video. So this ads manager that I have open on the screen is actually for my Google Ads store. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll leave a link in the description below for the video which I made on this Google Ads store. I was literally scaling to $1,000 per day just with Google Ads, no Facebook ads at all. And currently I've stopped all the ads on this store because I want to focus on my main niche store, which is also my brand, since Q4 is here when I'm recording this video. But nonetheless, I've still gotten results with this store that are worth explaining to you guys. So what I want to do is I want to show you the specific campaigns which actually were the campaigns I was scaling, and these were individual campaigns for single products because these products were selling really well. So the first campaign I have on the screen, which I just checked here, is the general campaign. This is the campaign where I was just testing all of the products. So as you can see, the cost for this was $3,308.38, and I only made back $2,068.40. Now again, this is because I was testing products in this campaign. This campaign was not made for profitability. With the Google Ads, profit comes from the campaigns which you actually use to scale. And since this store was only run via Google Ads, no Facebook ads, that means I was not testing any product on Facebook. All my testing was done through Google Ads. So that is exactly what this first campaign is. So this second campaign, however, is actually a single product campaign, a product which started to take off in this first general campaign. So I applied the strategy I'll be mentioning in this video for this campaign. So let's go ahead and look at the stats. So this specific campaign got 1,791,140 impressions. Now that goes to show you that a lot of people do use Google for shopping. This is a big misconception where people think that Facebook is the only platform where you're gonna make six figures and beyond. That is not true at all, because just with this one single campaign, I got over 1 million impressions, almost 2 million. So there's definitely demand on Google. There's definitely room on Google to scale your products to six figures and onwards. And if we go ahead and look at the cost, this campaign cost me roughly $1,592.07. And if we go to the next most important metric, which was the conversion value, as you can see over here, this campaign made back $6,458.32. That's about a 5 times return on ad spend. I spent roughly $1,500 to make back roughly $6,500. Now, in case you're thinking that I photoshopped this or I inspected elements to change these numbers, I'm gonna go ahead and refresh this really quick just to show you guys that indeed this is true and nothing that I made up. So it's currently getting refreshed, as you can see, and once it is refreshed, you guys will see that those numbers were not changed in any shape, form. But as you can see, it has currently refreshed, and once it does show the campaign data, it will be exactly the same numbers as before. So as you can see, we're currently still on all time, and if we scroll down, this is the second campaign I was referring to, and it's still the same data, 1500 spent almost to get back almost 6500. So as you can see, this was a campaign which has successfully scaled with the Google Ads. But let's go ahead and go back to our Google Docs to go over the exact strategy. So what I want to do before talking about when you should scale and how you should scale, I want to talk about what you should have prepared before you even think about scaling, because a lot of people skip over this step, and you might even skip over this step yourself right now by skipping the video. But I highly recommend that you watch this portion as well and listen to everything I'm about to say. So the first thing you want to be focusing on, and this is my pre-scaling checklist, you may want to write this down. Pause this video for 2 seconds and just write all of this stuff down. But before even thinking about scaling, make sure your conversion rate is above a 2.5% minimum, and I even recommend above a 3%. If you're not even meeting these requirements before you think about scaling that product, you're going to be losing a lot of money. I know you may be profitable right now, but do you really want to only get 10% profit from the entire amount that you spend in the day, or you want to increase that to maybe 20% or 30% profits? If you want to increase it, one easy way to increase your profit is by having a higher conversion rate. I learned this the hard way by not focusing on my back end, specifically the conversion rates, and just putting out ads there thinking magically that if I spend more money, I'll somehow make more money. Now, this is not true at all, because if your back end is not properly in place, you'll not be making more money. And in my case, this is absolutely true. I've had days where I was only spending about $1,000 on Facebook ads or Google ads to make back 3 times or 5 times return on ad spend. I've had days where I've been spending $5,000 on Facebook ads where I've been making barely break even or $0 profit. So in order to even be making profits with your Shopify store, I highly suggest you first focus on your conversion rates. If you don't know how to increase it, I have tons of videos on my channel that will help you do that. But the second thing you want to make sure to have in place is your email flows and your retargeting. Once you have something that is selling, this is the second thing you want to be focusing on. Make sure those email flows, specifically the abandoned carts, the welcome emails, those need to be in place. And that is followed by having the retargeting in place. Because once you get something selling, most of your ROAS is going to be coming from the retargeting campaign. So highly suggest that you focus on retargeting before even moving on to scaling. The third thing you want to focus on is having a professional and clean website and making sure that it is fast. This can really increase your conversion rate as well, as I mentioned in the first step, but make sure your website entirely is very professional, clean, it relates to the audience that you're wanting to sell to, and it loads quickly, because in today's digital world, people hate waiting. If they have to wait even more than 3 seconds, you can consider that sale lost. So with such a fast-paced society, you need to be keeping up. Otherwise, there's no point of you even considering scaling. So make sure your website is professional, clean, it has all the necessary pages and processes in place, like the About Us section, the FAQs, the return policy, shipping policy, etc. And make sure your load time is below 3 seconds. But that brings me to my last point, which is make sure your processes are in place, meaning your cart page, your checkout page, your PayPal account, your shipping options, etc. I know a lot of people who have been selling products for a long period of time, and they kept on wondering why they aren't making any sales at all, only to find out that their shipping options weren't properly in place. So when a customer went to the checkout page and entered all of their information to go to the shipping page, it said no shipping options available, and that literally lost them thousands and thousands of dollars in sales. So you want to make sure, in order to not face the same fate as them, to have all these processes in place beforehand before going on to the scaling process. So once you have all of these things ready, then you can finally decide whether the product that you're currently selling is worth scaling or not. And believe me, not all products, even if they're selling, can be scaled. So exactly when should you even consider scaling a product? There are a few things that I look at and make sure that the product matches before I even consider scaling that product. The first thing that needs to happen is that the product needs to have a minimum of 3 to 5 sales via Google Ads, specifically if all you're using is Google Ads to test your products. Or if it is a winner via Facebook ads, it needs to be showing some kind of consistency for 2 to 3 weeks. If it has been showing consistency for 2 to 3 weeks, specifically on Facebook ads, or it has sales, 3 to 5 sales on Google ads, then that product is something that you should consider scaling. In addition to that, there should be some kind of search volume for keywords related to or specific to that product, and a minimum of 5,000 to 10,000 monthly keyword searches for that product or keywords related to that product. For example, if you're in the baby niche and selling the baby carrier backpacks, there needs to be at least a 5,000 to 10,000 monthly searches for keywords related to the baby carrier backpack or just in the baby niche in general. If the product matches this specific criteria, that is something you can scale via Google Ads. And the next thing you want to make sure is that there's a minimum of $25 profit margin. Meaning if you buy a product on AliExpress for $10, you should be able to at least sell that product for $35 on your store, because if you can't meet this requirement, you're gonna have a tough time scaling via Google Ads in 2019 and onwards. And the main reason behind this is that competition is increasing everywhere, so in order to stay profitable, this is something that needs to be met, period. But once you have checked off all of these specific criteria, your product matches everything, then it is finally time to set up your scaling campaign. So exactly how do you set up your scaling campaign? The process is actually not very difficult. The first step for you, especially if you were testing the product via Google Ads only, is to copy the campaign in which the product is currently running. And this is very important. Do not create a brand new campaign if the product that you're wanting to scale is from another Google Ads campaign. Now, what do I mean by this exactly? If we go back to our Google Ads account, the specific product that I was scaling, and it's this one right here in this campaign, came from this first campaign right here, this one. So I first tested this product inside this general testing campaign and it started to sell. It got 5 sales as our first criteria says. So I decided to scale that product. So what I did is I simply clicked on this checkbox right here, clicked on the edit drop down menu and hit the copy button. Once you hit the copy button, it'll say on the right, on the bottom, that one campaign has been copied. Then what you have to do is simply hit the edit button again and hit paste. That is exactly how you copy and paste a campaign on Google Ads. And the main reason why I do this is because in my experience, I've noticed that the data that is coming from this campaign kind of gets carried on over to the copied campaign. So Google is basically using the same exact data in the new campaign to scale the product. And this is something that I've just tested and found more success with, because when I just create a brand new campaign by clicking the plus button, it seems that Google Ads has to redo all of the data optimization, find the audience which wants that product, and it just takes more time and money to get the results that I want. But in the case of just copying and pasting the campaign, especially if you were testing the product on Google, the campaign is just carrying on over all of the data accumulated on this specific campaign. So that's one good thing. But what do you do if you're not testing the product on Google? Instead, you were testing it on Facebook ads and you found success that way. In that case, you would just need to create a brand new campaign. As I mentioned over here, just click on the plus button and create a brand new campaign for that specific product. And we're gonna continue on in this video thinking that you came from Facebook ads, you weren't testing this on Google ads. So in order to create the brand new campaign, what you want to do is basically click on the plus button. From the plus button, you want to click on new campaign. And once you hit that, this is exactly what you're going to be seeing. You want to click on sales because that's what we want to do. And from sales, you want to click on shopping. From shopping, we want to go ahead and choose the standard shopping campaign. Make sure you don't choose smart shopping. This is something entirely different and I made a video on this, but this is a great way to scale as well. So check out that video. I'll have the link for that in the description as well, but make sure to choose standard shopping. If this is the first time you're scaling, hit continue. Once you do that, and if you go back to the Google Doc, your next step is to basically, under the inventory filter, you want to choose a specific attribute relating to the product you want to scale. So if we go back to our campaign, over here, you just want to give the campaign a specific name. So in this case, whatever your product name is, so I would just say product name and then hit a dash and just type in scaling, because that is exactly what we're doing. We want to be as specific as possible. But from here, you want to click on additional settings. And under additional settings, you want to hit the inventory filter, because we don't want to sell all of the products on our store inside this campaign. We only want to sell that specific product which we want to scale. So here is where you get to choose the filter option, and it says advertise only products that match all of your requirements. So this is where we choose the product that we want to scale, and there are a lot of attributes that you can choose from. You can choose a specific category, brand, item ID, condition, etc. What I like to do, and I highly recommend you do the same thing if you're on Shopify and using the Google Shopping Feed app, is to choose one of the custom labels. I just like to go with custom label number 3. And in order to create the custom label, what you want to do is you want to go on your Google Shopping Feed app. From here, you'll land on the dashboard. I'm on a specific product page right now, but on the dashboard, you just want to choose the specific product you want to scale and click on that button. And once you click on that, you'll be taken to this specific page. From here, you want to scroll all the way down until you get to the product label section, as you can see over here. And be sure to choose the specific label we chose over here. So custom label 3. So under custom label 3, you want to just give it a specific custom label. It can be anything you want. For my scaling products, I just give it a specific custom label related to the keyword scaling. So I would just type in scaling and then a dash and a 1, because this 1 represents product number 1 I'm trying to scale. And once you do this, just go ahead and scroll all the way down and just hit update product, and it'll take a few hours to successfully update. But once it's updated, then when you come onto your shopping campaign and hit custom label 3 and just type in whatever custom label you typed, it'll be available in the drop down over here, and it'll say how many products are currently connected to this specific custom label. So that's all you need to do, and once you choose that, this campaign will only advertise that specific product. But moving on now to the bid strategy. Now this is really important because this determines what kind of results you get in the beginning. Now this is the same for all of the people trying to scale, whether you already were achieving success with Google or not. You want to go to the bidding and you want to choose maximize clicks. This is the bid strategy that I like to begin with, and for the maximum CPC bid limit, this actually depends on a lot of factors. In order to determine what the maximum CPC bid limit should be, I like to use the Google Keywords Planner tool available under Tools and Settings, Planning, and the Keyword Planner. Basically, I like to search up a specific keyword that is as closely related to my product as possible and try to see what the top of page bid limit or bottom of page bid limit is, and set my bid limit at the least bid limit that I possibly can. So usually if I don't know what CPC bid limit to set it at, I like to set at maybe $0.40, maybe $0.30, around that area. So about 30 cents to 40 cents, maybe sometimes even 50 cents if the product costs a lot more. So once you set that up, we move on to the budget. And in the budget, what I recommend is that you want to start off at a budget of $25 per day or more. And this is because Google really needs some time to understand who to show your ad to, what kind of people would be interested in your ad, etc. And that can only be found after Google spends a considerable amount of money. You should be expecting results after 5 to 7 days of running a specific scaling campaign. Again, it requires a little bit of patience when it comes to Google. It's not like Facebook where you can expect results overnight. So be sure to set the average that you want to spend each day at $25 per day and move on. Now, the next important thing is the campaign priority. I highly recommend that you set it at high, especially for scaling campaigns. If this is just a general campaign where you're just testing all sorts of products, you want to set it at medium. But when you're scaling, I like to set it at high, because what this does is whatever campaign is at high, Google will attribute a lot of more budget to that specific campaign for the keywords that it's ranking for. So let's say, for example, you're testing this product in a general shopping campaign as well, and it gets 3 to 5 sales, and you want to scale it then. In order for the campaign to not interfere with each other, you want to make sure that the campaign priority is at high, so that if, for example, you're selling the baby carrier backpack and the keyword baby carrier backpack is something both campaigns are ranking for, the campaign with the high priority will be the campaign which shows the product for that specific keyword. So this is where the money will be spent instead of in the general shopping campaign, and that is exactly what you want. But moving on now to targeting, I like to leave both of these boxes checked because you want to let Google decide where it should show your ad the most. Again, it's like Facebook where you're choosing auto placement, but for Google, you want to make sure both are chosen. And we move on now to the final thing, and this is what country to target. So for country, for scaling, I highly recommend that you only choose one country. You want to scale in each different country in separate campaigns. Don't mix up the data for each campaign by choosing all the countries for just one campaign. If the product starts to sell really well in the United States, I would duplicate this campaign and choose Canada for the next campaign if I want to scale in Canada only. So scale by country. Don't just choose all countries and territories, because that won't lead to good results. And literally that's all you need to do in order to set up the scaling campaign. But once you have done all of these things, this is where the hard part comes, because now it's really a matter of patience. You really have to just be patient and let Google do its trick, because as I mentioned, Google is a search-based platform. It'll take some time to get results that you want. So here are some tips and tricks for the specific campaign once you have it started. What you want to understand with Google is some products will do much worse in these new scaling campaigns that you have started than it was doing originally in the general campaign. And I've had first-hand experience with this where I scaled a specific product for my store in a new single product scaling campaign, and for some reason it was just not getting traction in this new scaling campaign. But in my general testing campaign, it was getting a 4 times to 5 times ROAS. And this is really common in the scaling campaigns for Google Ads. What you want to do is just relax. I know with scaling campaigns, spending $25 per day for a lot of people is a huge amount getting deducted from their bank account, but you want to relax and wait 3 to 5 days before making any changes. Don't expect results, at least good ones, in the first 2 to 3 days. And after 3 to 5 days, maybe even 7 days, if you're not getting the results, one thing I like to do is just pause that campaign, restart it at maybe a lower bid. And I want to show you guys this in action in my own Google Ads dashboard. So this was the first campaign that I scaled for the specific products I was testing in my Google general campaign, and it was really doing well. But if we go inside the specific campaign and look at the stats, we can see that after a while, this campaign actually died out. So it was getting good results in the first few days and first few weeks, but after a while, as you can see, it just kind of started to die off. I wasn't sure why that was happening. So what I did is then I went back and I followed exactly what I mentioned over here. I paused the campaign, I restarted it at a lower bid. So this third campaign that you guys see is actually the restarted version of the second campaign. So if we go and look at how much it cost me, this campaign actually cost me $1,069.45, and it made back $4,618.54. So as you can see, this third campaign became profitable once again after I just paused the one that was starting to do bad. And this is one trick I've seen with Google where it just kind of works, where if you just pause and restart, it kind of gets back traction. And again, you want to make sure that you just copy and paste the campaign instead of restarting the campaign. And that is exactly what I did after the second campaign kind of started to die off. But one thing I would like to say is do not play around with your campaigns too often. If you play around too often like you do with Facebook, you're just going to mess up the optimization. Google is going to have a hard time determining who to show your ad to, and it's just going to lead to more and more losses. So wait 3 to 5 days before making any sort of changes. But once you have the campaign running, it starts to get you some results. In order to scale that campaign even further, what you want to do is you want to increase the bids more and more until the full budget of that campaign starts to get spent every single day. So in the example I was showing, the campaign was running at a budget of $35 per day. And if my bid was, let's say for example, 20 cents, and I was noticing that the campaign was getting me good results, but the campaign was spending only $30 per day, I would increase the bid by 5 cents until it starts spending the whole $35. Once it starts doing that, and I've waited 3 to 5 days to see that it does that, that's when I increase the budget by $5 to $10 at a time. Do not make big changes in your budget, and by big changes I mean more than $10 at a time. I've had whole campaigns just die off because I became kind of greedy and made a big budget change of up to $25, sometimes even $50, and that just kills the campaign. So in order to prevent that from happening, make changes at $5 to $10 per day. But when it comes to scaling it, all of these things need to be kind of connected to the back end as well. And as I was mentioning in the very top where I was talking about conversion rate, something else that you need to be focusing on is the SEO as well. So when it comes to SEO, especially for your titles and your descriptions, make sure that they contain SEO rich keywords. Now for your title, you want to include the most searched keywords and have up to 55 characters maximum in the entire title. Now if you don't know how to optimize your descriptions or titles for SEO, I'll have the link for that video as well in the description. Make sure to check that out. But this is one important thing in order to maximize your results with the scaling campaigns for Google. The same goes for the description. What I've noticed is that descriptions with up to 300 words or more kind of do the best when it comes to Google Ads, especially for scaling. And I like to make sure that 5% to 10% of all of the words in that description are SEO rich keywords. So with the 300 word description, you want to make sure 15 to 30 of the words in the description are SEO rich keywords. Now again, the video in the description will really be helpful when it comes to SEO, but these are literally all of the things you need to do in order to get that scaling campaign up and running. But once you have that running, that is just part of the battle. The next part of the battle comes from monitoring it and making specific changes based on the results that you get. So when it comes to monitoring, there's no real secret to this. You just want to let it run if it's profitable. And I like to check 3 to 5 days metrics before making any decisions on this. If the campaign is unprofitable after 5 to 7 consecutive days, that's when I decide to kind of take some action because the campaign is just not providing the results that I want. And in this case, the easiest action to take is pause and restart the campaign. Sometimes it is also good to do a quick search on Google for that specific keyword and see if somebody else, specifically another competitor, is selling that same exact product for a lower price. Because if that happens, then less people will click on your ad and you will get less traction, and that'll result in less sales. So once in a while, it's good to do some research on Google as well. Make sure that you have competitively priced the product and matched all of your other competitors. But after 30 conversions from the scaling campaign, that's when you want to change the bidding strategy to enhanced CPC. In my experience, I've had better success with enhanced CPC compared to maximized clicks after a few days to weeks after running the campaign. And this is just because enhanced CPC lets Google do the decision making of when to increase your bid and when to decrease it. So this is really helpful when scaling a specific product, and especially after you reached a certain amount of conversions. But this is the entire strategy as to how you can scale with Google Ads. Again, you want to start from the very top, make sure your funnel is in place before moving on to the actual scaling. And then once you are scaling, you want to make sure to follow all of these tips and tricks. But if you found any type of value in this video, make sure to smash that like button down below and subscribe while you're at it, and I'll see you guys next time.